Good morning and welcome to Namaste today, a sunny way to begin your weekday. I'm Christopher Witecki, your heartfelt host and sensei to some serious joy. This audio blogcast is for Wednesday, March 1st, 2017. Welcome back, my friend. Namaste. Put on your cosmic snorkel because we're in the deep blue sea of the subconscious. Today the sun crosses Neptune and the moon crosses Uranus. That means some serious learning. And in today's Zodiac weather, I'll give you the tips to navigate the currents. Later in our tea time, I thought it'd be fun to take a little field trip. We're going to go into the Astro time machine and look back to other solar eclipses. But first, let's take a look at today's moods and your Zodiac weather. This Zodiac weather is for Wednesday, March 1st, 2017. And looking at the moods to the global Earth consciousness, it's going to be sunny, but there's a chance of some growing pains. The sun is at step 11 calling for integrity, only we're a little spaced out with Neptune, and the moon crosses Uranus, calling you to grow up. Let's take a look at the planets. Examining the planets, you're going to be feeling every which way today. But I have some good news for you. By the end of the day, you ought to feel in integrity. Today, step 11 rules the day. Step 11 is a Virgo step. It is the I become consciousness. I become is the final output of something. And in this case, this is the final leg of our spiritual journey to put in a new platform. That's what we've been working on for the last 11 days, a new spiritual platform, and a spiritual platform of inner faith that hopefully excludes our born karma. So today is the final step, the final rung on the ladder, if you will, to really feel like you have become that healthy person. This is a crystallization, really, of your spiritual work, and you may very well see it crystallize in some sort of final challenge that you go through during the day. That is very common. That's why I told you by the end of the day you'll feel in integrity, because during the entire day you may feel like you're struggling to stay within it. It's quite okay. Now, the good news, honestly, is that with the sun in Pisces, that puts the earth in Virgo. And so you really are literally manifesting something you've been working on to heal for about 6 months now. 6 months ago, you set into motion some healing initiatives, and today you should begin to see the harvesting of those little conscious crops. So take a good look at how far you have come in 6 months if you find yourself in struggle. But I kind of think it's impossible to not feel we're in struggle from two major planetary conjunctions today. For one, the sun is dead conjuncting Neptune at 11 degrees. This means that while you're struggling to stand tall and be a good boy or girl, you are feeling maybe a little spiritual drunkenness from Neptune. And I have to say, I have absolutely felt Neptune the last couple days. It literally kind of leaves you chasing your tail. You get up and you think you're supposed to do something, and then, oh, maybe I should do something else. Total lack of focus. And that's what it's like. The universe is trying to get you to connect deeper to the soul and really align your life and your soul together. That's what this step 11 is. So getting into the step of your soul's rhythm, not necessarily caring about whether or not the world is in with step with you. And when you get in step with your own spiritual rhythm, law of attraction will bring a world that is in step with you. So that is the arc of having to be patient. Now, patience may be difficult today because the moon is in Aries. And moon in Aries alone makes us impatient, feel kind of weak, feel like we don't have enough strength to move on. But the moon will cross Uranus during the course of the day. That means we're emotionally going to have to ante up, grow up, maybe take one for the team in some cases. But really, it's about being strong and standing in your own right. Now, that Uranus is opposing Jupiter retrograde at 22 degrees Libra, which means this is literally going to be one small step for you, means one giant leap for your fairness and balance in life. So no matter how hard it feels today, Sensei says it will pull off if you can get your emotions behind your initiatives and step it up. Don't over push In fact, Mercury is at step 6 today. Mercury is how we think. Step 6 Pisces is that heaven on earth balance. So in all this symphony of energy and change and triumph, the mind is looking for balance. It's looking for the path of least resistance today. It's looking for the fair way to go. Try to follow your mind. Now, quite often I don't say follow the mind. In fact, I always say discipline it. But today, really, the mind will have a sense with what is too far or what is not far enough. So be mindful of everything going on. And on the big picture, what is going on? Well, in the big picture, we are moving down the path of the story we were born to live. And we are just about ready now to turn our back on our childhood karma and turn toward that story legitimately. In fact, this Saturday, Venus will go retrograde, which will open up a past life vortex and begin to bring out an old ancient story of yours to the forefront. You might be picking up a story. For instance, you were interrupted as a baseball star one past life, or, you didn't get to finish being a farmer in another past life. I mean, it's for every person something very interesting. But from this point, starting tomorrow, pay attention to what the little signs are telling you. There literally are no coincidences, and by this Sunday, we will be in a past life vortex. Now, speaking of the past, for today's tea time, I thought it would be delightful to go and look back at some of our past dates in the last 20 years to understand where we may be going forward. We're going to take a field trip in the Astro time machine. Go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, my friend and earthly neighbor, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is Astro Time Machine. I want to use the power of astrology to go back in time so we can see where it is we're going. I have found in astrology that sometimes you can really pinpoint the accuracy in the moment. And as an astrologer, I have really sought hard to be accurate and try to get things to the precise moment I could. But nothing truly beats looking in hindsight with astrological transits, because when you look at history and you've had time to look at your personal history, hindsight is 20/20. You can clearly see some of the trends. So today, I thought I'd look at the trend we are moving into. And I look at this through our solar eclipses and our north node structure. Now, a solar eclipse, it's an event. We just had a solar eclipse a couple days ago. This is a powerful punch of energy. The north node is a mathematical calculation we use in astrology, and it always points into a given sign, and it tells us where we are headed towards. The south node, which is directly opposite of it, tells us where we are working away from. So between the solar eclipses giving a big punch and also the nodes, you can kind of see where the momentum of all of humanity is going. Now, we had a solar eclipse in Pisces a few days ago, and that is a huge punch of spiritual energy. So the universe is pouring compassion on the planet. Keep that in mind. Then later in April, the north node is going to finally move into Leo. Thank goddess. I say that because I have a Leo rising and a Leo moon, and that means all the energy will be pointing towards my Leo rising and Leo moon, and I'll be feeling that energy. If you have your sun in Pisces, your moon in Pisces, your ascendant in Pisces, or any energies like that in Leo, you're going to find that you grow and you benefit greatly in this particular transit. I would describe this as a bit of a honeymoon kind of period, especially with the North Node in Leo. But let's go back in our Astro time machine and see the last times we had a solar eclipse in Pisces with North Node in Leo. Let's start with the eclipses. Now, both eclipses and nodes are on 18-year schedules. That means it takes 18 years for the eclipse to happen another time in that same sign. So, we had a solar eclipse in Pisces this last weekend, and literally 18 years ago, the last time we had a solar eclipse in this spot was 1998, very early 1998. So think back to 1998, and think back to whether or not in 98 you started to see a spiritual shift happening in you, a shift in you wanting to let go of old stuff and move forward. That would represent the Pisces energy. Now, if you go back 18 more years before 98, it was in 1979, February 1979. That was a 7-degree solar eclipse in Pisces, and that was a spiritual shift of energy as well. And I'm going to go back even farther, actually, just for kicks, to 1942. In February 1942, we had a solar eclipse in Pisces as well. And as you know, 42 was the year that we responded after the Pearl Harbor bombing. So this is right after we had Pearl Harbor bombed. We had a solar eclipse in Pisces. Now, looking at this through the history, I noticed something very interesting, at least with the presidents and these solar eclipses. We'll have a solar eclipse, let's say, in 79. President Carter was president. Very Libra president, very spiritual kind of president in the scale of presidents anyway. Seemed like a very caring, and I think Baptist. I think he was a Southern Baptist man. And right after this solar eclipse in Pisces, just 2 years later, or a year later, we elect very conservative Reagan. So we have a conservative response to a spiritual boost. I just found that very interesting. But the same thing actually happened in 1998. In 98, we had the solar eclipse. Clinton was in office, and then after the eclipse, boom, in comes Bush, right? Again, a conservative response to a spiritual injection. And today, you cannot deny the odds here. We're coming from a very liberal and maybe spiritual President Obama, and boom, here we are in Trump land. What's interesting, and this is why I kind of trust the rhythms of the universe, is when God universe seems to pour a lot of spiritual energy on the planet reacts by going conservative. But you could say that it's actually that conservative reaction that forces everybody to go into their spirit. So God gets her way anyways, right? The spiritual dump of energy turns into this conservative reaction, which makes us find our humanity, makes us find our compassion. And I think that's probably what's going on here with Trump. Although people look at this as a big negative, I see more human compassion coming out than I have really since Carter and the 70s. Going back to our World War II reference, again, all this spiritual compassion turned into a lot of warfare. Of course, we kept FDR in office, and then Truman came in when FDR passed away. But Eisenhower was a conservative reaction, although a bit delayed compared to these other years. Still another conservative reaction to that compassionate approach. Now, think back in your life to the years of 1998, and if you can, 1979, and witness for yourself what happened in your life, what spiritual change happened. Did you go spiritual? Did you listen? Did you listen to your compassion those times? That's what's important to look at in our little Astro time machine. But the years that follow that solar eclipse in Pisces are marked by the North Node in Leo, which means after this spiritual punch, God always gives us the direction to go into our heart. That's what Leo is. So it's not just the compassion, it's also this north node to the heart. It also is not just a north node to the heart, but it's a south node to Aquarius, which means move away from total control, move away from technology, and go to the heart of certain matters. It also means that the cycle of technology shifts. So, for instance, right now the north node will be in Leo from April 2017 to 2019. The last time North Node was in Leo was 1998 to 2000. And you really can, thinking back to that time, really remember that. It was the, Prince song, we're going to party like it's 1999. The dot-com boom was just soaring. Everyone was making money. Unemployment was down. It was a really very positive party in Leo time, really. For whatever reason you put it up into your mind, I recall things getting a lot better during those 2 years and really moving forward. Of course, I have a North Node in Leo. I have a Leo Moon and Leo Rising, so a lot of my personality would light up during that time. But if you take the Astro Time Machine back to the time before that, when the North Node was in Leo, which was basically 1980 to 1982, you would also see some of the same sort of things. I remember things getting really colorful and rainbow in the early 80s. It's like hairstyles, music became like bubblegum kind of pop. Michael Jackson popped out. Like, it was in those 2 years that all of a sudden we went down a totally different fashion path. We went down a totally different music path. Like, everything just blossomed in that Leo creative way. And that's the other thing about Leo, is it's a lot of creativity that comes out during these times. The interesting thing is the technology part, if you look at it, because basically when the North Node moves into Leo, that means that the South Node is in Aquarius. And so that means we're to stop working on Aquarius stuff. We're to stop working on the invention, right? So for the 9 years prior to that, you are developing technology. And that's very true. If you look at in the 1980 mark, 80 to 82, in the 70s, there was a whole bunch of technological breakthroughs in tape. I'm talking about magnetic tape for cassette players, tape for VCRs, all these types of things, cable television, satellite communication, all that was invented in the 70s. But then when the North Node went into Leo, it exploded onto the consumer scene. So you saw cable, and you saw MTV, and you saw VCRs in people's homes, and all this stuff bursted through. So you see a technology bursting out into the world and people finding parts of that technology that they love. If you look at 1998 to 2000, same thing happened. We had all this internet development basically in the early 90s, and universities connecting to each other and people having AOL online. And then 98, 2000, it just exploded into Yahoo and Google and these big, mammoth websites, and the technology again boomed onto the consumer scene. So I'll make a little prediction just to wrap this up about where things might be going for us. On the technology scene, I think a lot of it is kind of obvious, but maybe you haven't paid attention. Since the last technology boom, we have been developing a whole bunch of sophisticated technologies, particularly artificial intelligence. This is the software that's behind auto-driving cars and rocket ships that can land themselves, and all these interesting things we're starting to see happen. So I would imagine in the next 2 years, you're going to see an explosion of artificially intelligent devices, refrigerators, everything beginning to come online and help guide our personal lives. I would also say that we'll see a whole new splash of stars onto the scene, a new category of stars on the upcoming scene of Hollywood and music and the type of people we follow. And I think there's a really good chance that the next 2 years will really be good years. Years to develop your heart, years where things are not necessarily at war. It seems that it's after this, that we have bigger issues in the next transit when the North Node moves into Cancer. And that's when things start feeling kind of icky, in my opinion. So this is a time to reflect in your Astro Time Machine back to 98, back to 79. Look at how your life improved. Look at how you felt better. Look at the possibilities the universe offered. I think that although we may appear to be squashed as the lightwalker industry of light, the truth is we are being forced to rise up, to come together, and to come into our personal power. So take advantage of this time. You will have your moment, my friend. All right, my friend, I'm so grateful for you tuning in each day. Be sure to come on down and say hi to our community of light. You can visit our Facebook group at namastetoday.club. And I'll be back in 24 hours with more. As always, remember, I love you, and live, love, be. Live, love, be.